Alright, 92. Flying out of Darwin to Timor. It was just after the Dili massacre. This guy here saved me. He was a German boy. I got to the airport and had total culture shock when I landed in Indonesia. Couldn't work out the rupiah, couldn't work out the language, didn't know where to stay, had absolutely no idea. And he was at the airport and he's like, he just landed on the same flight. And he's like, alright, you come with me, bud, I'll look after you. It's the toilet, so there's the toilet there, and this is called a mandi, so you scoop the water out to flush the toilet, and you scoop this water out to wash. You never get into the bath. I think this guy was selling a big sack of tobacco. Fishermen on the shores, looking out to the islands. So I ended up meeting up with these guys, and we chartered a boat. Rich Indonesian dollars. We thought we were rich. So yeah, we chartered a boat and we went island hopping across all the way up through pretty much to Bali, or definitely to Lombok. We spent quite a few days on this boat. The roads were treacherous, so it was quite nice being on a boat. There you go, you can see the local buses has gone off the road. You'd climb up the side of these mountains and you'd see the road on the other side of the mountain, and then you'd go down into the gully and emerge like hours later. So this is the traditional batik, the woven fabric which everyone wears. It's like some sort of jewellery store. Someone on a bike selling stuff. I don't remember this guy's name. He was Swiss. He was a professional snowboarder. There I am with everything I owned on my back. I think this one's Kalimutu. There's 3 different lakes on the top of this volcano. We went up for sunrise and then ran back to the village. I remember this day. This day I actually discovered the tropical wonderland of the coral reef with this dugout canoe, and this guy absolutely blew me away. I never realised there was so much life under the water. Traditional house. Inside of a traditional house, all carved by hand. I think that's Kalimutu. Sumbawa, whatever all those islands are. So this is the Komodo dragons. Back in those days you got guided into a compound and they cut the throat of a goat, threw it out of the compound, and these dragons, these monsters came in and fully devoured the poor goat. They don't do that anymore. Lots of people just... So this is Komodo Island, Indonesia. Yeah, fully fell in love with the tropics. I've been living in the tropics pretty much ever since, in between. So as I came out of the water that day discovering the tropics, I bumped into Rosie. This is Gili T, the Gili Islands off the top of Lombok. And Morna, the Scottish girl in the centre there. Ended up marrying Morna, and we spent many years travelling together. She was from Scotland, or is from Scotland. She was obviously vegetarian, being a nurse. I became vegetarian. Travelled a long time. Buddha Budua, the sacred temples of Buddha Budua. Beautiful artwork. They actually moved this temple. There's a rag inside. You reach through and hold the rag and you make a wish. They relocated this temple brick by brick apparently. Buddha Budua, up Lake Toba, top of Sumatra. Walking around through the jungle. We actually got lost in the jungle. Luckily an Indonesian man found us and helped us get back to where we'd come from. It was getting dark, it was all getting a bit scary. These huge leaves. Beautiful river running through the village. No crocodiles. Lots of jungle. Lots of water. And the orangutans. So these have been rehabilitated, or they might have been wild, I can't remember. But they were looked after. They roamed free in the jungle. So going up through the top of Indonesia, a beautiful part of the world. I'm afraid lots of it's been chopped down now for bloody palm farms, palm oil. Then we're on the train going somewhere, looks like slums, looks like maybe Thailand, little grass huts. Bottle Beach, so this is off the top of an island called Kopangan, which is in the Gulf of Thailand. I bought a new camera when I went through Georgetown, Penang, so I started getting some really nice photos. Look at that, how beautiful. Morna Richardson, Glaswegian. Not too sure if that's Hadron or Bottle Beach. It might be Hadron, I'm not sure. And this guy was called Mr. Long. He was very short, getting massage. This is Bottle Beach. Beautiful, huge granite boulders. So where did we get to? I think this is a rice thrasher. And then we got into Kopangan again. We looked at Kopangan before, so this is a little bungalow. So on Kopangan there's a little beach called Hatien. This is Steve. He used to help run it with Jill. Rosie behind the bar. Back in the day this was the only place on the beach. Me dressed up. Morna. Breakfast. One of the boys that used to work in the restaurant. I lived in this place for a long time. For years on and off. This is over on Hat Yao or Hat Yuan. The family, Gatika, forget her name, and Morna. Melissa Godden. Sandash, Italian boy, I travelled through India with him. Those photos are common. Cara, she's Canadian or American. Morna and I. Some of the crew at the sanctuary, restaurant, guest house, Sandash. Nathan, showing off his broken drum. There were holes in the skin, he's got his fingers in there. So this is looking down onto the beaches from the lookout. Hat Yao, Hat Yuan, Hat Tien and Hat Wainam over the back. On the island of Kopangan, up in the jungle with Paul, Beck, Sandash, Steve, myself, and Paul, American boy. I forget this dude's name. Used to hang out with him. Oh, I know this girl's name. It's absolute paradise back in the days. This is 94, 95. Absolute paradise. Rosie and Morna, Lisa. Sunsets in the hammock. Such a beautiful island. Looking down onto Hadron. Hadron Beach. Big fire at the end of the beach. Japanese boys left the mozzie coil burning. I was like, fire, fire. I got down there. There was a dude standing there with a garden hose. Wasn't helping. Look at that jungle. I forget this dude's name. So this is the Sanctuary Hatien back in 1995-ish. It was pretty much the only bungalows on the beach. There was a restaurant, bar, little bungalows. There it is again. Lots of live coral. There was no road into this area, so yeah, really beautiful. Lived there for quite a few years on and off, helping run the place and building stuff, and everything came in by boat. And it was about an hour's walk over the hills to get to Hadron Beach. It's in the restaurant, Morna and Rosie. Looking out towards the lookout, big point up there. Steve and forget his name. Rosie hanging out on the rock, grabbing a coconut. Gatika and Erica. Morna hanging out on the bungalow. Kevin and Erica. Caught up with Kevin last year in England. Someone's building a raft. Looks like we're building a raft. Looking out into the bay. Getting a long tail into town, the boat. See Bongo Pool in there. Guy's bar. David, Backyard Dave on the beach. This is a traditional house up in amongst the forest. I used to make these big fires out of palm fronds on the beach. Light them up at sunset. You can see the people. Summons the gods. And then we'd get around the fire and do some drumming. This is the lookout, looking down onto the 3 different beaches. Steve in the bar, in the restaurant, out the front, hanging on the beach as we did. Matt, Lizzie, myself and Morna. Joe, Morna, Melissa and Nikki. Sunflower Amanda, Bongo Paul and Steve, Sangtip Steve. Pet Yuan. Looks like a party going down, can't remember where. Transpati. Oh, there's Jimmy Vickers going off in the corner there, look. Melissa and Morna and a Georgie, Blossom and Sonny and Paul. I think this is Tanzadette Waterfall. Doing some drumming. So yeah, these have been taking over quite a bit of time. See, we're 97 now. My family, Katika. Oh, I know these. I forget the names. I'm not put them in there. Puppy. Blossom, Patti, Blossom, Patti, Patti. So this is the original full moon party outside Paradise, Hadron Beach back in the early days. Doesn't look like that anymore. Joe, Sonny, Bongo Paul, Clyde, Lloyd, sorry, Kevin. Oh, there's loads of people in that photo. That's the whole crew. Backyard. Katika doing a big stretch. Katika and Kevin. I'd say that sunset side. Coconuts hanging out. Oh, look at that. Paradise. Sunny and Rosie. Postcard, full moon party. Have another party, can't see anyone there I know. There's the sanctuary, looking up into the jungle. Me in a black wig. Swiss crew. Rob. Mark. Africa Bar. Morna and I running the Africa Bar. We ran a bar there for a little while. I don't know if that's Hadron back in the early days before they knocked out all the trees and built a load of bungalows. Hard to say. So this is sunrise, Hadron Beach. Sunrise, Hadron Beach, Poti, outside Paradise. Running the bar. We ended up on the next little beach around, Bovey Beach, Morna and I. Had a bit of a run-in with the mafia. I rebuilt this bungalow. We lived out there for nothing quite a long time. I can't remember this dude's name. Rosie, Morna, Rosie. Sadly Rosie passed not too long ago. So yeah, this is the little bungalow that we lived in for months. We're out there for months, like 6 months, drinking the water out of the mountain. It used to be a guest house. It used to be a running functional commercial business. And we moved in there and just took over one of the bungalows. The monkeys used to come in and steal food, so I had to put a padlock on the door. Used to make tea and coffee and burgers for people that would walk over from the other beach. Make a bit of money. So, where are we? This is the lagoon on the beach where we used to bathe, and then there was a little waterfall underneath these rocks we would get our drinking water from. Nothing above us, it was all just jungle. Walk over to the shops, which would take about three-quarters of an hour to get food. Paradise. We lived on this beach for so long, it was so beautiful. On the track on the way over. Big beautiful granite boulders. Bovey Beach. There's the view from the bungalow. You can see some backpackers on our beach there. This guy Chip was staying over there for a bit as well. Not too sure what his story was. Boots off. You see, I pulled all the doors off the other bungalows and made like a big shelf all the way around the bungalow. Bovey Beach. Rosie. The underwater photos, batfish, Warner out snorkeling, backyard Dave, looking down onto the sanctuary. At one stage I moved over to the next little beach, which was called Hatwainam. There's a little fisherman's hut in here. This is all restaurant bungalows now. Hatwainam. We called it Collins Beach. Had my own little beach. There's the bungalow. I set up a little kitchen. Sonny and Paul. There's the beach there. You can see the little hut at the end there. Collins Beach. Used to drink the water out of the waterfall in behind. Kitchen set up, built a big pyramid. We're doing Osho meditations in the morning. Dingle Pargle, Sandash, a few others. This is 97. Hatwainam, Hatwainam. Back in the day. Hanging out around the fire, drumming. A few faces in here.